No parent ever wants to bury their own child. But this story takes an even stranger turn when a mother does something shocking at her child's funeral. So why would a mother remove her son from the coffin during his own funeral? Let's find out together, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, where are you listening from today? Emily was the captain of her university's cheerleading squad, while her future husband, David, was an ordinary student who didn't participate in any major activities during college. David preferred to keep to himself, surrounding himself with as few people as possible. This made him seem odd to others, but he never cared about their opinions. David was effortlessly handsome. He didn't need to do much to appear attractive. Emily, in contrast, was adored by everyone. She was beautiful, slender, and always cheerful, her voice ringing through the hallways. Whenever she walked through a hall, her silky auburn hair flowed like a model's, even though she didn't belong to that world. Emily was the kind of girl who kept all the guys on edge whenever she entered a room. There was something truly magnetic about her, and she was well aware of her feminine charms, which she wielded skillfully. But her charms never seemed to work on David. Many people in college envied their relationship, especially the guys who had wanted a chance with Emily. Not long after college, Emily gave birth to their first child, a boy they named Liam. He had Emily's auburn hair and David's green eyes. In many ways, Liam resembled his mother. Unfortunately, David and Emily were not financially stable. Emily's pregnancy had come too early, leaving no time to secure a good job or even start their own business. Their parents weren't supportive of Emily becoming a mother at such a young age, so Emily and David had to work tirelessly to provide for Liam, though their combined income could only cover a portion of the bills. Despite the hardships, they decided to get married. Following their wedding, they moved to Canada, hoping it would improve their income and enable them to better care for Liam. But over time, they realized they might have been better off staying in their homeland, as most of their income went directly toward Liam's needs. Yet, despite these challenges, they showered their son with endless love. David managed to secure a job as a local engineer and also worked part-time as a fitness instructor, while Emily excelled as a sales representative for a growing business. She was exceptionally skilled at her job, but the pay wasn't enough for the lifestyle she dreamed of. Things continued like this until Emily received a major promotion. Her salary jumped to hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. One of their first moves was to find a new apartment. This also allowed them to enroll Liam in a better school, and David was able to pursue further education for a more lucrative career. Their lives began to improve, and they could finally afford small luxuries here and there. Saturday nights became their official family movie nights. Emily's parents, who had previously been worried about their daughter's well-being, finally relaxed. At one point, they even suggested Emily divorce David and return home, sweetening the offer to the point where Emily couldn't stop thinking about it, even though she had turned them down immediately. But that was all in the past. 2 years after Emily's well-deserved promotion, David secured a better-paying job. Eventually, they bought their first car and moved into a high-end neighborhood. But soon after, they noticed something was off with Liam. He seemed unwilling to get out of bed. His skin looked pale, and he frequently complained of headaches. They initially thought it was just an adjustment to their new surroundings. However, when they noticed that he was frequently plagued by chills and fever, they decided to take him to the hospital. After conducting a series of tests, the doctor diagnosed Liam with chronic leukemia. Emily nearly collapsed upon hearing the diagnosis, but David managed to catch her. She felt a cold, sharp pain at the back of her throat and became lost in thought. David noticed her reaction, sensing there was more to it than just shock, but he chose not to question her on their way home. He knew she wouldn't divulge the truth so easily. The car ride home was silent. David tried to make conversation with Liam, while Emily gazed out the window, despair etched on her face. David grew concerned, but was also frustrated by her inability to hide her emotions in front of Liam, who might blame himself for her sadness. When they arrived home, David tried to encourage Emily to speak with Liam, but she immediately retreated upstairs, sadness still clouding her expression. This continued for days. Emily barely spoke with Liam, leaving David to watch helplessly. He wanted to confront her, hoping to snap her out of her melancholy, but he knew it wouldn't be wise. David took time off work to care for Liam as Emily became more withdrawn, sinking deeper into the role she'd assigned herself. The air in their home grew heavy with uncertainty, disappointment, and regret. It was a side of Emily David had never seen before. One day, while Liam was playing alone in the garden, he suddenly collapsed. Emily had been watching from a distance and screamed in horror as she saw him fall. She rushed outside, with David close behind her. Panicking, David carried Liam into the car, and they sped to the hospital. Once Liam was admitted, David took a moment to catch his breath, while Emily sobbed quietly. Overcome with emotion, David angrily accused Emily of neglect. He was barely aware of the words coming out of his mouth in a state of panic, but Emily only looked up at him, saying nothing. Her calm reaction to his outburst made David realize he might have gone too far. He sat beside her in silence, torn between apologizing and feigning anger. In that quiet moment, Emily finally revealed what David had been wanting to know since Liam's diagnosis. She had lost her childhood best friend to leukemia, a boy named Jacob. He had passed away while she was away on a camping trip. He had urged her to go without him, knowing his time was nearing the end, not wanting her to witness his final moments. When she returned, thrilled with stories of her adventure, she found his bed neatly made and empty. The news of his passing shattered her, leaving her unable to eat for days. Watching her son endure the same fate dredged up all those painful memories. Shortly after, the doctors informed them of the full extent of Liam's illness. His chances of survival were slim, but they would do everything they could. Liam was placed on heavy medication, but he only became weaker, losing weight rapidly. Emily practically moved into the hospital, unable to bear the thought of leaving him only to return and find him gone. On one Saturday night, after reading him his favorite bedtime story, Liam squeezed her hand and smiled. That smile pierced her heart. She knew it was a final goodbye. She called David into the room, and together, they stood by his bedside holding his hands. In a few moments, Liam took his last breath. The nurses confirmed his passing and moved him from the room. For his funeral, Emily requested a white casket. On the day of the burial, just as the priest finished his prayers and Liam's coffin was about to be lowered, Emily cried out, insisting she needed one last moment with her son. Though everyone was shocked, David urged them to let her be. But instead of merely looking, she embraced him, kissed him, and with tears streaming down her face, whispered that she would always love him and that his siblings would one day know all about him. "You will always be my baby," she said. What do you think of Emily's initial reaction to her son's illness? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.